Hello everyone, welcome to the What If Anime YouTube channel. Today, we are diving into an exciting new story that will take your imagination to the next level. Let's get started. What if Naruto was fairy tale's god of war, the Kratos power? Long, long ago, even before the dominance of dragons, gods ruled over the Earthland. Their power was unparalleled. There might be unmatched, and dragons were nothing but specks of dust in comparison to their absolute strength. They were the supreme ruler of the planet, and they ruled over their subject benevolently. They were compassionate, caring, and wanted nothing but to make their subjects prosperous. Human race were their favorite. Gods often go beyond their way to protect them and favored them in many ways, as the humans were the first intelligent race they had created. Humans even resembled them, but human only had their physical traits, not their immense strength. In return, humans revered them, prayed for them, and worshipped them, as humans considered gods their supreme rulers. They loved them. Humans used to do many rituals and ceremony just to appease the gods they believed in. But this became the very reason that led to destruction of gods. The gods began to compete and assess their powers against other gods. Different gods began to favor different religions, and the religions that worshipped them more than their fellow gods. Soon the tension among gods escalated to violence, as one of the more violent gods assaulted humans because he was jealous of his brother. The name of this god was Hades. He was extremely jealous of his brother, the king of gods Zeus. Hades was sick of humans' blatant discrimination to him. He didn't choose to become the god of the underworld. It was his brother who made him go down there, and he had no choice, as Zeus was much stronger than him. He detested his brother, and he detested human race even more, as Zeus favored them so much. They didn't have a single shrine or temple for him. They never prayed to him or worshipped him. Instead, they cursed him like some kind of plague. And one day all the pent hatred exploded when ignorant humans crossed the line and began to pray to other gods to eliminate him. He was furious by their foolishness, and he knew other gullible gods might even consider exterminating him if he didn't take necessary precautions. After a while, he stopped visiting the court of gods and stopped answering to Zeus. He even let the creatures of underworld to roam free on the earthland and wreak havoc all over the place. He gave dragons the power to harness natural energy surrounding the earthland. It didn't help much, as dragons were still pale in comparison to a god might, but it was a start, as whole court of god went into chaos. They began to accuse each other for treachery for giving dragons the secret of their powers. It led to many internal conflicts, and due to that, gods weren't able to answer the prayers of their worshippers. After a while, humans stopped praying to the gods. Humans felt conflicted as their beliefs wavered. They thought gods had deserted them, and due to a period of chaos, humans began to wage war against each other. To start, they waged war purely on the base of speculations and rumors. People with different beliefs and religions started to blame each other for enraging the gods. Different religions demanded others to disappear and stop praying, as they thought their gods would return if others would disappear. This led to a greater tension, as many occults began to appear all over the globe. They began to do inhuman rituals and ceremony that even shook gods to their core. But it wasn't enough. The final nail in the coffin that made absolute chaos to fall all over the world was sudden assault of dragons. The dragons began to attack humanity and treated them as a food. It was butchery, as human couldn't possibly defend themselves against such a mighty foe. But tension among the gods was the true reason of escalation of the whole situation, as they didn't want to fight for people of religion that didn't worship them or revered them more than their fellow gods. Zeus calmly watched as a reign of chaos ensured. He felt sick to his core when he saw his fellow brethren fighting among themselves, but he mostly came to detest the very race he loved most. He began to hate humans for the atrocities they committed against all life forms, and because they were the true reason behind all bad blood among gods. So, he decided to eliminate the very plant he spent all his life nourishing. It was painful for him, but the wake of the carnage and destruction left by humans was maddening. Despite having a common enemy in the form of dragons, they still fought with each other. It was like they wanted war, so as their considerate ruler, he gave them what they wanted. Zeus called for his brother Hades. Hades was hesitant at first, but accepted the invitation nonetheless. Meeting between brothers was bitter, as Hades wanted nothing to do with his elder brother, but despite their differences, they reached to a mutual understanding. Zeus wanted to annihilate the humankind, and that was the opportunity Hades was waiting for almost a millennium. He had it all. planned only thing stopping him was fear of Zeus's wrath, but now he was on his side. No god could oppose him now, or that's what he thought so, as he never considered the possibility of a god being as strong as Zeus. That was a grave mistake on his part, but no one could actually blame him as Zeus's strength remained unchallenged till then. Heeding his brother's request, he set his plan in motion to eliminate the pitiful human race once and for all. He unleashed the very epitome of monstrosity on planet in the form of his most twisted creation, the Kraken. Kraken was a ridiculously colossal monster. He was the worst nightmare of humans, animals, beasts, dragons, and even the gods, as even they weren't able to slay the mammoth of a beast Kraken was. It almost exterminated every living thing from existence, but one branch of humans stood against them. It was the warring tribe, the Spartans. They worshipped the god of war, Kratos, the demigod son of Zeus. He killed Kratos, son of Pallas and Styx, to take his place. He earned his title when he gallantly fought against Kratos, his parents, brothers and sisters all at once. Even with the disadvantage of 1 vs 7, he prevailed over them and killed all of them except Athena, the youngest daughter of Pallas and Styx. He said that it was beneath him to slay a weakling like her with his mighty blade. Athena was furious but remained silent as her powers weren't anywhere near Kratos, though she swore to avenge her family. She rose in power and earned the title of Goddess of War. She challenged Kratos again but lost badly. Her powers were still no match for Kratos, but Kratos still spared her life and humiliated her in front of the court of gods. After her defeat, Athena faded into the background, disappointed with herself. She thought Kratos didn't acknowledge her, but it wasn't true. He didn't kill her one simple reason: she was innocent. She didn't know that her parents and siblings were conspiring against Zeus, his bastard father. He didn't like Zeus, but he loved the world Zeus had created, so he decided to crush the problem before it could raise its head. Due to his cruelty and power, Kratos became the very epitome of power among God. But despite being the god of war, he never involved in trivial wars till he got provoked first. And many gods admired this particular trait of his and revered him as the ideal and perfect image of a true warrior. The Spartans also worshipped and revered Kratos because of these true warrior-like quality. They believed that an ideal warrior should be just like him. They followed his footsteps and never started wars, unlike many warring tribes, unless provoked first, as they believed a true warrior never seeks war, but he also never backed down when challenged. Because of their gallantry, Spartans were revered as the most powerful human warriors. They even conquered dragons just trained. Their leaders were known as titans among the humankind. They were blessed by Kratos himself. For a while, Spartans sat back and watched all the chaos and destruction descending upon the island, as they believed that the gods would intervene, but after sitting ducks for almost a year, their patience wore thin, and they decided to take problems in their own hands. They waged war against invading army of Hades and gallantly fought against Kraken, but they were overwhelmed by the insurmountable creature's might. They fell short when Hades himself decided to butcher humankind. Even knowing that they wouldn't be able to win, Spartan warriors still fought head-on by the name of their god Kratos. Kratos from above saw all the disarray, chaos, confusion, anarchy and disorder surrounding the living world. He also saw humans were fighting gallantly for their beliefs and precious ones. He was very impressed and pleased with humans' loyalty, devotion and love for their kind. As a warrior, he felt compelled to help humans for their bravery, so he went to Zeus and requested him to dispatch an army in the human world, but much to his bafflement, his king didn't want for anything with humans. Zeus ordered him to not meddle with humans anymore. Humans were unworthy lowly beings, Zeus told Kratos, but Kratos thought otherwise, as in his eyes human possessed vast potential and they could be very loyal and gallant when given a chance. So, he discarded his father's order and went in human worlds to assist humans. He alone was able to turn the tides of war in humankind's favor when he sealed off Kraken in the depths of hell and made Hades to scramble away with his tail between his legs. This made Zeus furious with his demigod son, and he exiled Kratos from heaven and issued an assassination order on him. It was most humiliating thing that ever happened to Kratos. Never in his life had he felt so enraged. But he kept salient for a while and avoided conflict, as he didn't want to involve in needless battle, and he never found heaven as comforting as human world anyway. Kratos mostly liked to stay alone until one gorgeous empress challenged him to a duel. She was the Empress of Amazon tribe, a tribe of warrior women who challenged men to duel and married to them if men managed to defeat them. She fought him with everything she had, but Kratos, even without his godly powers, still managed to defeat her rather easily. She accepted his supremacy and wanted to marry him. He outright refused her, but she was persistent, and soon he found himself warming up to bubbly yet deadly Empress. He finally fell in love with her and married her. He told her everything but his identity as a god, but didn't matter to his Empress Yvonne. Once in his life, Kratos was happy, truly happy. He was going to become a father, but his happiness was short-lived when his bastard of a father found his whereabouts and killed his wife and unborn child in cold blood when he was away. After that, Kratos went berserk. He wanted nothing else but revenge for his beloved wife and unborn child. He began to conspire against Zeus. In few decades he swayed many gods to his side and declared war upon Zeus. This war changed the course of history. Landscapes changed when gods clashed for dominance, and after struggling for hundreds of years, only a handful of gods remained on Zeus's side while Kratos was left all alone. But he wasn't afraid to fight. He would stop nothing short of the total annihilation of Zeus. Hades also suffered serious injuries and was forced to hide deep in the underworld. Zeus was terrified of Kratos. Even in his wildest dream, he never imagined his demigod son to be so strong and powerful. Even though he had 20 gods under his command, he wasn't sure of victory, so he played a dirty trick and revived Kratos' deceased wife, Empress Yvonne. He offered her to Kratos as a peace offering. Despite being a heartless warrior, Kratos couldn't resist the temptation to be with his beloved and agreed to meet Zeus. But Zeus deceived his own flesh and trapped him in a spell that slowly slipped away his immortality and gradually weakened him. After that, Zeus made Yvonne to explode into a gruesome shower of blood and organs. He did that right in front of Kratos' very eyes, and Kratos couldn't do anything and was forced to watch his beloved to die in such gruesome and cruel way. After that, Kratos went berserk. He went on a rampage and killed off 15 gods, leaving only 6 gods including Zeus himself. Even though Kratos lost his immortality, he wasn't weakened, yet, deduced Zeus. Zeus saw his very death in his demigod son, Kratos, so he decided to seal off heaven for few millenniums till Kratos died or at least got severely weakened. Rest is the history we all know. Kratos went into slumber to preserve his powers while human world was finally free to develop as they please, as few dragons were like a cuddly kitten in comparison to warrior gods. 2 millenniums later, X763 October 10th, they were well settled and had enough money to last them several lifetimes. They both were highly respected due to their status as saint wizards, and they had a loving family in the form of their guild, the Fairy Tale. Naruto one day would also join the Fairy Tale, the guild which took them in when their parents died and made them the person they were today. Everything was right until now. The master was delighted by news of her pregnancy. The guild was in constant party mode for 8 months. But it had to happen now. Their mansion was attacked by several large dark guilds. Even the top dark guild Atatsuki was attacking them, which led to their current predicament as they both were forced to hide inside some creepy, suspicious-looking cave. And all the stress set Kushina in premature labor pain as her water broke. "Yes, darling, you can do it. I can see our baby's head," Minato said gleefully despite being badly wounded, though Kushina snorted with rage and somehow managed to land a kick on his face. "Shut, you bastard. When this gets over, I am going to kick your ass for putting through this. I will cut off your damn penis and shove it in your ass and make you eat your own damn balls that produced that super-powered semen, and then I will see who had the last laugh," Kushina threatened, making Minato cringe in fright. "Maybe it's your last day there, buddy," Minato thought while solemnly patting his super sword as if he was saying goodbye to it. Minato again went down between her legs and used some spell to soothe her pain and clean all the blood. After a while she finally managed to push the rest of baby Naruto's little body out. "Ah!" she screamed last time, and pushed the rest of baby Naruto out of her womb. "Minato, if you dare to see his face before me, I will seriously follow through with my earlier threat," she warned him manically while panting like crazy. "I know, my hot-blooded queen. I am cleaning him without opening my eyes. Just wait a minute," Minato whispered soothingly as he used a spell to clean baby Naruto, and magically summoned a blanket to cover the infant baby. "Here you go, my brave queen. he whispered while placing a light kiss on her forehead, and placed baby Naruto beside her. Kushina stared at Naruto's cute for a long time before embracing him gently, like only a mother could do. It actually surprised Minato a little as he never knew that his hot-blooded wife could be so affectionate and gentle with a newborn baby. "Minato, why didn't he cry?" Kushina suddenly questioned, making Minato's eyes to widen in realization as he frantically began to check. For a heartbeat while Kushina held her breath in anticipation, her eyes got teary as dread settled in her pit, though she relaxed a little when Minato smiled in relief and handed back Naruto to her. "He is healthy as a horse, but I am still surprised that he didn't cry. That's certainly unusual," Minato mumbled, though soon he felt a sudden feeling dread, and he mechanically moved his head to see Kushina glaring at him manically. "You dared to call my precious handsome son a horse?" Kushina screamed with murder in her viol, frantically looked around as his brilliant brain tried to come up with a believable excuse to defuse the situation, as he didn't want to be on receiving end of an overprotective mother's wrath, especially if the mother was Kushina. "Kushina, I meant in a good way. I think he is even prettier than a unicorn," he drawled smoothly as he hid his fear behind a mask of coolness while inside his trembling like a leaf in a hurricane. "You're absolutely right. My baby is even cuter than unicorns," she exclaimed jollily while Minato patted himself for using Kushina's love for the unicorn in his favor. "But why didn't he cry?" Minato questioned to himself. "Because he our baby baka, and it seems he has inherited my awesome genes. He didn't cry because he is a brave strong boy, not a pansy like his girlish father," Kushina teased Minato. Minato pouted, but after a few seconds smiled and kissed Kushina softly on lips, making her blush prettily. "Damn you, Minato. Making you blush like a love-struck teenage girl," she cursed Minato, but her expression softens when she saw her lovable, definitely pansy, husband crying as he caressed baby Naruto's chubby face in fascination. "Minato, you're such a pansy. Crying in front of your little boy like this won't earn you much respect," she chided, though inside she was elated that she was able to give Minato a family. She knew he always wanted to have kids, but due to her condition she wasn't able to give him this happiness, so maybe she would spare Junior Minato this time. "I am not crying," Minato exclaimed while wiping his tears of joy. "Come here, you big baby," Kushin mumbled kindly and caressed his cheeks affectionately. "Kushina, thank you. Thank you so much," he cried in joy, and took his wife and newborn son in a tight embrace. "Let's wait in this cave till reinforcement arrives." Minato started to say something but was cut off when baby Naruto suddenly began to glow. "What's happening to my baby, Minato?" Kushina questioned frantically. "Oh shit. His spirit is responding to the spirit of nature and bonding with the natural energy flow to form magic, but he has too much magical energy. It is almost comparable to an A- class mage, but his body is still too weak to compress so much magical energy, so it is releasing that excess amount of energy his undeveloped body can't handle," Minato explained as sweat dripped from his forehead. "You must seal his energy or Dark Guild will find us in no time," Kushina screamed, as she frantically tried to cease her baby's cries. "Kushina, if I did that, Naruto will die from energy overload. His body hasn't adjusted with the spirit of nature, yet not completely. Kushina, you." He wanted to tell her to run away with Naruto, but a large explosion shook the cave. Well, if isn't Minato Namikaze and Kushina Namikaze and their little brat. "Wow, I amazed that little shit is releasing so much energy that it put many of my best men at shame. Oh, after killing you both I will make him my personal weapon and train him in the art of killing," said Uchiha Madara, a menace grin gracing and propounding his already dark features. He appeared to be the very personification of sin as he leered at baby Naruto, his eyes gleaming at the prospect of making his most hated enemy's babies his very own weapon of destruction. "Like we will let you touch a single strand of our baby's hairs," Kushina screamed in rage as she protectively hid still glowing baby Naruto in her protective embrace. "Like, you can stop me, you stupid Ona. Men, move forward and bring me their heads." Madara ordered his men, and just like that over 1,000 dark mages launched a full-blown assault on a single man, his vulnerable wife and infant baby, but Minato wasn't any man. Kushina may be right about him being a pansy, but he wasn't a coward, so he fought till the end, Meanwhile, Kushina recovered some of her lost strength and joined the fray while some of her clones stood guard in front of little Naruto. After constantly battling for 4 hours, Curse You Minato Namikaze, screamed a heavily wounded Madara as he watched his worst enemy in fascination. Fear and envy as Minato tore through his main allied men like they were nothing. He couldn't believe that Minato Namikaze, the man who preserved life more than anything else, was cutting his men without any hesitation or remorse whatsoever. You called me a monster, but you are the real monster here, Madara screamed in rage as he parried another spell of Blonde Man. No, what he was fighting wasn't man, no. At this moment Minato was the very reincarnation of the devil himself. Yes Madara, you're right. I am a monster, and you're the one who had awakened this monster. Yelled back Minato as he tried to push past Madara's defenses, though he flattered a bit when one of the Madara's allied, Ulquiorra, intercepted his charge and managed to stab him in the thigh with a Grin Javelin of Light. Minato quickly showed a football-sized Rasengan on his face, making his to blow up in a gruesome shower of blood, and managed to contain the blast as well. But that little opening was the opportunity Madara had been waiting for. Die, Amaterasu, he exclaimed, and Minato had no chance to dodge the incoming black flames as Madara released the jet of the black flames right front of Minato's face. Inextinguishable black flames began to eat away his flesh, and he began to squirm on ground in an attempt to put out the flames, though soon his painful and pitiful thrashing stopped as he submitted to his fate. Ha ha ha, I win Namikaze, Madara declared, and began to laugh maniacally. No, Minato, cried Kushina when she saw her husband falling from the hands of her worst enemy, and she wasn't able to do anything. Her strength was drained away from her opponent the very moment when she turned around to see her dying husband. Airspace. Magic dispersion formula, yelled an old man as he finally caught red-handed in his airspace, and dispersed her remaining magical energy in the air, though he wasn't able to fully drain her power as her clone intervened in time and killed off the old bastard. Halt your attacks. I will take care of her, Madara ordered. Kushina, he said gleefully as he addressed Kushina, who was still mourning her husband's death. Though Kushina remained rooted to her place, she was frozen. She couldn't move a muscle. She couldn't believe that her best friend, her lover, her partner, her husband, her pansy blonde idiot was dead. Don't worry Kushina, even though Minato is dead, I am not going to kill you and your little son. I will make you both mine, ha ha ha. Madara laughed zealously as he eyed Kushina's almost nude form lecherously. She was almost naked. Her torn clothes were barely covering her modesty while tears streamed down from her beautiful violet orbs. You touch her, I kill you, threatened Minato as he seemingly came back from the land of dead. Minato Koi, Kushina cried in joy as she bolted toward him, and all of them were too stunned to stop her as she embraced her husband with all her might. Minato returned the embrace and whispered soothing words in her ears. What are you doing, fools? Attack them, ordered Madara, still shaken by the re-emergence of his supposedly dead foe. Kushina, my love, calm down. You have to protect our baby, I am already done for, he said in a hoarse voice. All the remaining dark mages began to fire spell after spell, but an invisible barrier blocked all their attacks and provided the couple more time to say goodbye. What are you talking about? You can't leave me alone. Without you I am nothing, I can't live without you, so you must survive, she said with a heavy heart as she looked up to see his face, but she flinched when she saw a mess of burned flesh instead of his handsome face, though Minato's deep-sea blue eyes comforted her a little. I am already dead Kushina, and you know it, Minato said solemnly, and placed a tender kiss on her lips. Kushina kissed him back with all the love had for him as she knew what did. He used the forbidden spell, Shinigami death spell. But, she cried onto him as he tenderly caressed her cheeks one last time. Kushina, doesn't act like this. You have a responsibility. You have to protect our baby Naruto at all cost or I won't forgive you, Minato warned, and tenderly ran his hand through her beautiful silky hair and stroked her scalp. I will take Madara with me, but you stay strong and protect our baby. I will meet on the other side, my love, Minato whispered softly in her ear. No Minato, I am no good at parenting. Naruto needs you more than me. You can't die yet. Take responsibility for knocking me up. You sly blonde bastard, Kushina screamed as tears kept flowing out from her gorgeous glazed orbs. Minato smiled sadly and tightened his hold on her. Kushina, when we met 40 years 5 months 23 days 15 hours and 47 minutes ago, I immediately knew you were going to be the most troublesome person to deal with, but I never regretted meeting you once in my life. You were everything to me. My best friend, my partner, my nurse when I got sick, my teacher in art of pranking, my anchor of confidence when I felt down, my lover, my wife who always sat me straight when I acted stupid, and finally the mother of our beautiful child. You have given me so many things that I can't express my gratitude in words. I wanted to spend the rest of my life with you. I wanted to be a great father for our baby Naruto and live happily with both of you. I just want you to know that I love you and I will always keep loving you even in afterlife if there is one. Minato tried to tell Kushina what she meant to him, but his words flattered as he began to struggle with his words as he tried to show his gratitude to her for being a part of his life. Yubaka, I love you, she declared, and took hold of his lips in a searing kiss, but Minato pushed her away when shield began to crack under the assault of dark mages. I know Kushina, but you must protect Naru-chan. I am going to settle this with Madara once and for all, he declared, with fury in his eyes as he eyed the bastard who ruined his and his family's future. But Minato, I wanted to tell. Kushina protested, but Minato cut her off by another searing kiss, and kissed her like it was their last kiss, and it really was. I know love, I already know, he said with a sad smile, as magical energy exploded around him, sending most of dark mages flying away. As soon as ground cleared, he bolted toward Madara and appeared in front of him with a mind-boggling display of speed. Goodbye my love, Minato managed to hear a Kushina's almost mute whisper, and smiled lightly as he quickly took hold of Madara. This is the end for you Uchiha, Minato declared, and shoved some Amaterasu flame he managed to trap in rune magic right on Madara's face. Madara's face got badly burned and he felt some kind of pull on his abdomen area. Curse you Namikaze. Madara cursed him when he saw an imposing figure of Shinigami behind Minato, and whimpered in pain when he felt his very soul being ripped off from his body. Shinigami death spell, hollered Minato. Izanagi barely managed to whisper Madara as his left eye glowed red, and he began to fade away from Minato's grasp. He appeared a few meters away while panting like crazy. You managed to avoid death Uchiha, but even Izanagi can't bring back you the 2/3 part of your soul you lost to the Shinigami, and those burns from Amaterasu flame won't disappear, ever. You'll never be the same man, Minato managed to utter before finally submitting to death. Your husband was a good boy. He did great deeds in his lifetime. As a reward I won't consume his soul, and when your time comes, you both will be reunited and live in my realm for your good deeds, bellowed Shinigami-sama in his heavy voice. After hearing Shinigami-sama's declaration, Kushina began to cry tears of joy. Thank you, thank you, thank you, she whispered over and over as her tears wouldn't stop flowing. She got on her knees and bowed to Shinigami-sama as he disappeared in bright white light. After hearing Shinigami-sama's declaration, Kushina began to cry tears of joy. Thank you, thank you, thank you, she whispered over and over again as her tears wouldn't stop flowing. She got on her knees and bowed to Shinigami-sama as he disappeared in bright white light. Let me help you to reunite with your bastard of a husband, shouted Madara in maddening voice. He was enraged that his archenemy would live happily after in heaven, but he would steal his son and mold him into his own personal weapon even if it was the last thing you would do. Attack! 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 Destroy this wretched woman and bring me that bastard spawn, Madara yelled atop his lung, finally breaking the stupor his men were in. Seemingly still flummoxed dark mages attacked a vulnerable Kushina, or what they thought as Kushina, suddenly sprung into action and bolted towards her oncoming enemies. Chain magic. Impaling spikes, she hollered as many sharp sliver chains materialized on the battlefield, and surprisingly chains were made of pure magic energy. Dark mages saw the magic chains wiping around and tried to destroy them with their own magic, but Kushina wasn't a saint wizard for nothing as she easily tore through their spell and impaled many of them with deadly razor-sharp spikes. Their bodies mangled in an unrecognizable heap of bodies when chains began to retreat at one place. Chain magic prison, Kushina shouted, and without mercy called her next spell, chain magic. Execution. And just like that, chain cut through her victims like a hot knife through butter, spilling the blood of her husband's murderers all around the field. She is a monster," shouted one of the mage, and tried to retreat when he saw body parts of his comrades flying all around. But his retreat was cut short by none other than his guildmaster, Madara Uchiha, who stabbed him in the heart. "If you want to live, fight and destroy her. Attack that damn brat of her," he barked, and pointed at a group of clones that was trying to retreat along with baby Naruto. Heeding their master's order, all the dark mages began to target baby Naruto. Clones tried to defend the baby, but remaining group of elite mages began to tear through them. Seeing her baby's life in peril made Kushina to immediately spring into action. Some of the low-ranking mages tried to intercept her but got torn apart by sharp chains, while Kushina kept proceeding without even giving them a single glance. Clone magic. Exploding clones, she whispered quietly, and summoned her special clone to fight the remaining mages. Dark mages tried to attack them and got blown to bits when clones suddenly exploded on their faces with a deafening sound of "Boom! Get that bitch! She dared to mock my art!" shouted a male member of Akatsuki. He had his blonde hair tied up in a ponytail. He was one of the most elite members of his guild, Deidara. He was an expert of explosion magic, and he didn't like the people who tried to copy or mock his art. "Eat this, you whore! Explosion magic! Invisible missile!" Deidara shouted. Kushina heard the faint sound of something approaching but didn't see anything. She decided to trust her guts and quickly wrapped herself in her chains, making a makeshift armor of pure magic. Her instincts were proven right when suddenly something invisible collided with her and a huge explosion rocked the place. Boom! Eat that bitch! How do you like it? Oh, you can't tell because you are dead. Hee hee hee. Deidara began to laugh hysterically when he saw no sign of Kushina, but his happiness was short-lived as sliver chains surrounded him from all sides. Chains had a small ball of pure spinning magic on their tips. Annihilation net. Barrage of 100 Rasengan. Kushina bellowed from her underground hiding place. Poor Deidara tried to shield himself by calling out his enormous magic energy but had no chance as he was literally torn apart by a rally of Rasengan. Kushina showed no empathy to her opponent as she continued to advance toward her baby. Soon she managed to get hold of her son as her last clone died, while Shielduokli buried Naruto's little head in her bosoms, but it proved a fatal mistake as that was the very opportunity Sasori was awaiting to capitalize on as he sent his favorite puppet Haruko to attack the vulnerable backside of the red-headed Saint Wizard. Kushina sensed him coming but paid no attention and summoned her chains to protect her, though she soon realized her mistake when she sensed Madara right behind her. It was a distraction, she realized as she saw her husband's murderer drawing his cursed scarlet sword, the blade of Totsuka. She tried to protect herself by summoning more chains, but Madara's sword easily tore through them and stabbed through her back till it came out of her stomach. "No, I won't give up," she thought stubbornly, and summoned more chains as she began to summon the rest of magic energy to cast abyss break spells, though it was a futile attempt as the sealing illusion spell of Totsuka began to affect her already groggy senses. She stumbled forward and fell over some kind of altar. It was made of pure white marble and had some ancient runes inscribed on it in golden letters. "Now, he is mine," declared Madara as he walked up to her to take Naruto away from her. "No, I won't let you have my baby," Kushina announced, and tightly hugged the crying baby Naruto. The only thing keeping her sane at that point was unbreakable will to protect her child at all cost. It seemed like even little Naruto could tell what was happening as he began to wail and his magical energy began to go haywire. Soon a golden glow surrounded him and his dying mother. Madara saw the new development and decided to wait and see that what exactly was happening. His decision ultimately saved his life as everything within the 10 meters radius from Naruto and Kushina vaporized into steam. But the most fascinating thing was that even the ancient altar began to crack and a golden and white hue surrounded it as an unimaginable amount of magical energy released from it. That kid activated some kind of powerful ancient magic, Madara thought in panic as he quickly got as far as possible while his men followed his example. While Madara and his men were retreating to save their pitiful lives, Kushina was trying to regain her bearings as her senses finally began to work properly. She could think straight as an effect of Madara's sword's sealing illusion spell began to wear off. though it terrified Kushina as she knew that the blade of Tatsuka was the ultimate sword in existence, and as far as she knew it was impossible to break free from its sealing spell once pierced by it. So, what was this power that broke its spell like it was nothing, and why the heck couldn't she move her muscles? What was this oppressive and depthless magical energy? The magic she was feeling was so potent that it made the magical energy of Aetherion to look like a candle in comparison to a firestorm. Sensing that the overwhelming energy was in fact still rising, she tried to move her baby away, but it proved futile as despite her best effort she couldn't move a single muscle. What is this monstrous power? What kind of horrendous monster we have unleashed on Earthland? This thing was sealed off by some super powerful ancient rune magic. If I use Minato's time-space formula, it might repair and hold back whatever is inside, she thought, and began to frantically look around for the person responsible for unleashing this colossal monster of the apocalypse. Though her eyes widened when she realized that it was her infant son who had broken the sealing spell, and monstrous energy was shrouding Naruto and her like a divine form of protective armor. Now that she looked around closely, she realized that everything around them was getting torn apart by the monstrous energy except them. Naruto seemed calm and elated for some reason, as if he was feeling secure under the blanket of petrifying power. Seeing that her baby was comfortable and seemed rather delighted under the protective shroud of immense magical power, she also decided to trust Naruto's instinct and stayed rooted to her place. Not that she could move anyway, but she wouldn't ever admit that, never. White marbled slab began to crack as Naruto's magical energy began to call out the sealed power. Naruto's energy kept increasing along with mysterious energy, though the difference between their magnitudes was equal to the distance between sun and earth. But the way golden bluish energy was protecting Naruto was astonishing. It was like that they had some kind of deep connection. Kushina was baffled by the strange phenomena, though the pain of her wounds was making it harder for her to concentrate. She was still bleeding profoundly from the wound she received from Tatsuka. Swords stabbed through her vitals, and despite her best efforts she couldn't heal a wound inflicted by the blade of Tatsuka. Soon powerful thunderbolts descended upon the altar to completely break the runes binding the creature inside. Though, instead of any monster, a huge-ass golden sword floated out from broken altar. An ominous salience fell over the place before whole sky was lit up with thousands of thunderbolts. Clouds began to gather and rotate to form a mighty storm as white light descended through them to fall upon the epicenter, which happened to be the altar over which Naruto and Kushina were sprawled over. Kaboom! A humongous explosion rocked the whole place when white heavenly light came in contact with golden sword. The explosion was so big that it rocked the whole Fiora or even more. Everything within the 10 miles radius was blown into bits when immense golden energy exploded outwards, though Madara managed to save himself and his remaining men by using his ocular space-time magic. Crater made by the explosion was at least 200 meters deep, but surprisingly Naruto and Kushina were completely unharmed. There wasn't even a single scratch on baby Naruto. Though, same wasn't true for Kushina. She was dying and she knew it. She couldn't keep her promise, and now her baby would at the mercy of Madara or whatever monster they had unleashed upon the world. She was losing lots of blood along with her consciousness, though Naruto's infectious giggles gained her attention. She also turned around to stare at the source of Naruto's apparent entertainment. She got startled when she saw a big muscular man standing just a meter away from them. He was very tall, around 6 feet 5 inches. He was as muscular as a man could be. His muscles were running in ripples over his body as if they were carved by an artisan. Even the countless scars running all over his body seemed to complement the muscular and definitely hot man. Man was bald, but he still seemed to pull it off rather nicely. He also had a goatee along with numerous red golden tattoos running all over his muscular frame. And as she says, nothing goes better than rippling muscles and badass tattoos. Bald muscular man was also staring at them with equal fascination. His intense deep blue eyes were roaming over them as if he had seen a ghost. His grip tightened when he stared at Kushina's battered form, though he didn't. Why the hell he feel connected with the damn brat she was clutching as if her life depended on it. Yavani? Questioned the newly awakened god of war, Kratos almost in a wistful voice when he saw Kushina. She seemed like the spitting image of his empress, Yavani, though he soon noticed the differences. She wasn't his empress, his wife. She was some woman who seemed to be in quite distress. Kushina seemed confused when the incredibly powerful man called her by some strange name, but she stiffened when she sensed hundreds of Madara's men appearing all around them. A human can use space-time magic, Kratos stated, questioned when he saw Madara summoning his army of mages all around them. Not that he was concerned. Their magical energy was so low that he could hardly feel them, but he was surprised nonetheless because as far as he knew, humans couldn't use magic except the Spartans. Even among them, only chosen ones were given the power of a titan. "Aren't you a human, too?" questioned Madara what to make of this ancient warrior. One moment his powers seemed enough to destroy whole Earthland, but now he was feeling nothing from the ancient warrior except few sparks of magical energy released by his gigantic sword. "What's going on here?" Kratos questioned in confusion as he eyed profoundly bleeding Kushina. She was moaning in pain while clutching the small orange bundle tightly against her impressive bosoms, while little twerp seemed frightened by the presence of new arrivals. Not that he could blame an infant for getting scared in such dire situation. "Attack her and bring me that brat," Madara shouted on impulse when he saw Kushina holding a time-space shiki, the ancient form of rune magic. This broke the trance his men and women were in. They all quickly scrambled toward the fallen angel of death, Kushina Namikaze. Kushina could do nothing except hold baby Naruto tighter in her protective embrace as many of dark mages readied their magic to score the final blow on female saint wizard, though their spells never connected as Naruto's impressive magical energy latched outwards, knocking away all the assailants. Kratos was about to intervene but stopped when he saw a mere child blowing away 20 or so grown men. To say he was astonished was an understatement. He was outright flummoxed by a marvelous display of power by a mere infant. He never sensed this much power even in a god's babies, much less an infant human. And for some unfathomable reason, blonde brat's energy felt similar to his own. "How many years have I slept? Last time I checked, human babies aren't supposed to hurl grown-up men like this. Not even Spartan child, much less a skinny-looking toothpick redheaded is holding." Kratos refrained from announcing his thoughts aloud as according to his mistress, babies were supposed to be small, little, adorable and goddamn cuddly. He snorted at that thought. His child would have been born muscular if his bastard of a father Zeus hadn't killed him along with his mistress. Kratos shook his head to clear the painful memories. It wasn't the time to mourn over the past. He had to assess his power and got to know in what century or millennium he was in, though the sounds of red-headed moans attracted his attention. "Please, please save my baby," Kushina weakly mumbled, sending shock throughout Kratos' body. She seemed very personification of his past most painful memory when Zeus killed his mistress Yvonne second time right in front of his very eyes. That time he wasn't able to protect her, but now he would be damned if let something happen to this woman and her innocent child. HMPF. There is no one saving you today. Bitch, men attack. That brat's shield is getting weaker. Madara ordered his men while panting like crazy. He had pushed his weakened body well beyond its limit already, and he would be damned if let his archenemy's brat to escape from his clutches. Heeding his orders, dark mages once again began to advance toward the fallen mother-son duo to finish the job and avenge their fallen comrades, though they rooted to the spot when Kratos pointed his huge sword at them. "Halt, humans! If you take a single step forward, all of you'll face my wrath," bellowed Kratos in imposing voice, sending shivers down their spines. "Where are you stopping? His magic might have been strong, but now it's all gone. He has no magic power left." Madara barked in anger when he saw his men backing away. Madara thought that Kratos had no magic energy left after breaking the powerful sealing magic, but it was far from true. Kratos' magic energy was so great that a lesser being like him couldn't sense it, and Kratos sealed himself in first place to preserve his energy as Zeus' spell was constantly weakening him. Madara's men also seemed to share the same belief as their leader and began to advance threateningly toward Kratos. Kratos seemed irritated, but he had no qualms in slaying few ignorant humans. Despite how much time passes, human can't seem to get over their egos and overconfidence, Kratos thought in irritation as a red-headed puppeteer sent his creepy-looking puppet or stupid-looking doll, in Kratos' opinion, at him. Kratos' sword was craving for blood, not wood, so Kratos simply blasted the piece of trash wood by flicking his wrist. He saw some of stupid-looking men trying to use some kind of collaboration magic and failing at it miserably. So, he simply swung his sword at them. effectively cutting those two while other men screamed vengeance upon the death of their comrade. Kratos enjoyed little excitement after 1,000 years of sleep. Even though these humans were weakling, they were the perfect food for his companion. Madara saw the insanely powerful man. Nope, the monster shrugging through the most powerful spells of his elites like they were nothing more than a bug bite, and at that moment he realized that he had bitten more than what he could chew. He hastily called a retreat and readied himself to teleport along with his crew, but Kratos was having nothing of it. He sensed that red-eyed bastard was trying to run and brought out his chainsaw. It began to glow red as Kratos swung it in a circular motion. The immense amount of energy got released from the sharp dagger's tip of his chainsaw, and it began to sweep everything within 200 meters radius. Once proud members of Dark Guild Akatsuki cried in fright and pain before their bodies got dismantled inside the vortex of deadly dark energy. Some didn't even get a chance to flinch as their lives were effectively taken from them. Madara got lucky when he managed to activate his time-space magic, but he failed to save his men. Seeing the torrent of red evil energy ripping his men into shred was enough to send him scrambling as he abandoned his men and disappeared in the vortex of distorted space. So weak and pitiful, running away from a battle is disgraceful for a warrior, muttered Kratos as he lowered his weapon. He was standing beside Kushina and baby Naruto. Naruto was perfectly fine, though the same couldn't be said for Kushina. Kushina noted that Kratos made sure to not sweep them inside the radius of his spell or whatever gruesome method he used. Kushina was grateful to this man but was also little intimidated. Scratch that. She was utterly terrified by the chaotic power of this insanely powerful man. He just swung his chain and whoosh, all the enemies were dead and their dismantled and torn body parts were scattered all over the place while Kratos didn't have a single drop of blood on him. It was just utterly crazy even for some like her, though she had more pressing issues like dying right and making sure that Naruto reached Fairy Tail safely. Kushina had a gut feeling that she was making a grave error or giving her baby to a beast or something equally horrid, but her time was running out, so she decided to shoot her requests anyway. And who would deny the request of a beautiful dying woman like her? Please take my baby to Fairy Tail Guild, she shouted suddenly, making Kratos to jump in comical fashion. He quickly wiped his head in her direction to ask, what the hell? But he never got the chance as Red-Headed began to cough blood. You okay, woman? Kratos questioned smartly. Yes, thank you for your concern, Kushina replied sarcastically, but Kratos missed the sarcasm and nodded and began to walk away. Come back, you dumb-ass ancient ape of a man. Of course I am not all right. I have a gaping hole in my stomach for Christ's sake, she screamed in rage, though she quickly regretted it as she began to cough more blood. After hearing her insulting him, Kratos was about to put the damn motor-mouthed woman in her place, but he stopped when he saw her struggling for her life. So, it was a stupid question indeed. What do you want, woman? Kratos asked gruffly, not showing too much concern as he knew that woman was going to die anyway. It hurt him inside that he couldn't save the woman's life just like Giovanni, but he managed to save the kid at least. So, he decided to make sure that kid remained safe till someone from his family came to fetch him. My name is Na, and what I want is... She coughed more blood and cackled at her pitiful state. She gazed in Kratos' eyes without a hint of any pride or stubbornness. She almost looked vulnerable, and she has never shown her vulnerable side to anyone except her husband. I know it is too much to ask after you saved me and my baby's lives, but please fulfill my last wish and take my baby to Fairy Tail. They are the only family he has left, she whispered in a hoarse voice as her vision began to get blurry, but she still refused to succumb to unbearable pain. She still had to make sure that her baby knew what he had to do in life. Naruto, listen to me carefully. Be a good boy. Listen to your teachers. Eat properly, brush your teeth before sleeping, bath every day. Don't become a playboy because many girls will throw themselves at you, but choose your soulmate just like me. Grow strong, protect the people you cherish, make wife, friends. Give me many grand children and be happy. I am proud of you, my baby. Mama will always love you. Naruto, Kushina managed to cry out as baby Naruto began to wail his eyes out when he felt her mother's hand slipping off from his head as she slumped beside him. Kratos froze when he heard little blonde baby's name, Giovanni, and he had also decided to name their baby Naruto. It meant Maelstrom, a fitting name for his heir, though he never got the chance to call his baby by his name. Seeing Kushina to struggle and announcing her eternal love for little Naruto was nostalgic for Kratos. Yvonne did the same thing when she died second time in front of his very eyes. After clearing his head, Kratos carefully picked baby and cradled him in his arms like Yvonne made him practice when they were expecting a baby. Naruto seemed to calm down. Soon the unearthly glow surrounded Kushina's body as her deceased body disappeared in white light. That was Shinigami's energy, Kratos mused in interest, but then cursed himself for not reading her memories before she died. He seriously needed information about this world if he were to get by in this advanced version of Earth where humans could freely wield magic. Even at pathetic levels, magic was still magic and he could always rub it in the Zeus face that humans managed to come so far on their own. What the hell I am going to do with you, Pipsqueak, and what the hell is a fairy tale, anyway? Kratos questioned aloud while baby Naruto drifted in dreamlands. What the hell I am going to do with you, Pipsqueak, and what the hell is a fairy tale, anyway? Kratos questioned aloud while baby Naruto drifted in dreamlands. What should I do? I don't have time to waste on this babysitter job, but I just can't leave an infant to fend for himself. But I don't even know what a fairy tale is supposed to be. Is it some kind of kids' bookstore where they sell books related to mythologies? No, that can't be right. That woman was quite tenacious, and her husband managed to summon Shinigami, the only true immortal entity in existence. They were warriors worthy enough to be recognized as Titans. So, this fairy tale could be a country or some kind of a warring tribe. Maybe? Kratos thought in attempts of solving the mystery behind this fairy tale. Where he's supposed to take the baby Naruto. I can't keep running around like a headless chicken. I need information about this world and my senses are still groggily. I can't sense anything beyond 1,000 yards. Well, at least heaven is still sealed off. Zeus won't make a move until my energy drops to a lower level than his. Kratos mused and smirked a little. He was still way stronger than his bastard of a father. He still had about 90% of his total power. Good, my spell worked perfectly. I now just have to wait patiently for him to make the first move and I will destroy him. I hope those other gods haven't gotten much stronger than before, Kratos thought. A little worried because of what he knew those other gods were newbie at that time, so there was no telling how much stronger they had gotten since then. From what he recalled, they all were pretty formidable even then, but now after so many centuries their powers would have surely escalated a lot. Especially Athena, the goddess of war. She was the second strongest in the remaining army of Zeus and back then she had just barely scratched the surface of her true potential. So, Kratos had a sneaky suspicion that she could be as strong as him if not stronger. Did Zeus notice my awakening? If he did, then he must have sensed that I am still stronger than him. He won't attack even if Athena and others could probably defeat me. He has become a coward. He will wait till I get considerably weaker than him, so he could himself finish me off and hog all the glory for himself. Kratos deliberated his pro and cons. Kratos knew that his chances of survival were slim if Zeus didn't make a move under another century or so, as his spell wouldn't work a second time. But Zeus's spell was still effective and draining Kratos' energy constantly. My spell wasn't supposed to be broken, ever. As long as I would have stayed sealed, Zeus wouldn't have opened the gates of heaven. But astonishingly, a mere human child managed to break my spell with his sheer energy of all the things. I don't know whether to be astonished and praise him or be angry and curse him. This boy has effectively set the apocalypse in motion, and if the human race becomes extinct, then it would partially be his fault, Kratos thought grimly, as he stared at Naruto's peacefully sleeping form intensely as if he was gauging baby Naruto to be a potential agent sent by Zeus to break the sealing spell. Kratos shook his head. That couldn't be possible. But Kratos' apprehensiveness wasn't totally unjustified. Naruto's energy was off the charts even in comparison to immortal children. But still, no matter how powerful, Naruto was still an infant and couldn't possibly fend for himself. So Kratos couldn't blame Naruto for an unfortunate accident in which he lost his birth parents. Little Runt is still sleeping. Probably released too much energy. I can't sense much energy from him. Was it one-time thing? No, probably not. Humans get exhausted after a certain time, unlike gods, Kratos thought, though without him realizing he was smiling a little as he watched the slow rise and fall of Naruto's little chest. Kratos poked Naruto's chubby face out of boredom, but he gasped a little when Naruto circled his big rough finger tightly in his little fist. Kratos was sure that Zeus would have died laughing if he saw him swooning over a human child with such fascination, but damn. Little Runt was one hell of a charmer. Kratos' musings were cut short when he sensed few hundred humans advancing towards him. He was sure that these humans were much weaker in comparison to the previous ones, but he still summoned the sun shield as a precaution, not wanting to get surprised if another human possessed the power to control space and time. Kratos wasn't worried about his own safety. He just wanted to make sure that baby Naruto stayed safe. Kratos saw hundreds of men advancing towards him and quickly activated the shield's power and placed a barrier around Naruto's sleeping form. Human warriors were wearing matching armors, but Kratos wasn't sure whether to call them warriors or human comedy circus. They looked funny with their funny uniforms, stoic face, disciplined and uptight walk. The only warrior tribe he respected was the Spartans, and they were everything except these glorified monkeys were attempting to be. The Spartans were a crazy bunch, fun-loving, crude, bloodthirsty and battle-hungry. They were disciplined only when it comes to battle and training. Otherwise they would fool around and beat the crap out of each other on a daily basis. Kratos cleared his head. He didn't have time to get lost in the blissful past memories. He had a much more pressing issue in front of him. 1. Grab the most knowledgeable-looking person, aka nerd. 2. Beat the hell out of everyone else. 3. Extract all the information from the nerd's mind specially. What the hell ISN deliver the runt to this fairy tale and plan his next move to destroy Zeus once and for all. Captain Rondo was a tall man with an imposing disposition. He usually wouldn't feel intimidated, but the man in front of his troop was anything but cuddly, and the way he was looking down at them was both infuriating and frightening. "Who are you and what are you hiding behind that shield?" Rondo asked after calming his wrecking nerves as few beads of sweat fell from his temple while the bulky mammoth of a man just snorted at his question. "I would have just asked you for direction if you knew your real place in this world, mortal, but after your blatant display of disrespect I am more keen on eliminating you and your clown army rather than gracing you an audience with me," Kratos said brusquely. Before any of the Rune Knight could have moved, they all were blown away in different directions by an unseen force while a single nerdy-looking knight remained standing. "Come here, mortal," commanded Kratos in his usually menacing voice. Taku squeaked and Fried jumped 3 feet in the air, but quickly followed the order without any further delay and dreadfully approached his inevitable doom, or so he thought. Kratos sneered at the cowardly and timid approach of the knight. Is this the level of human warriors even after so many centuries? Kratos was pissed off, so he decided to get done with it already. He placed his hand on top of Shivering Knight and began to read his memories. The knight fell after a few seconds while Kratos began to process all the new information. "What? 2 millenniums have passed already. I never thought that this much time has passed. This isn't good, not good at all. I have no idea how powerful others have become. But still no interference with human matters is a good sign. And humans have emerged as the most dominant species and all dragons are dead. This Zareth fellow had some suspicious powers, but I guess it's okay now that he is dead. Dragon slayers, must be a version of the god slayer we gods were trying to create. All our students had potential, but their power needed at least a few centuries to grow to be any help against other gods. It was a complete failure, but they fought barely till the end. It seems like dragon slayers don't need as much time as god slayers do to evolve, but that's only because dragons are a puny creature with insignificant power when compared to the might of true god. And what do we have here? God slayer magic. Black color of any element is considered as the mighty magic power of a god. These mortals think we are gods? Some kind of black magicians? The thing they call god slayer magic is nothing more than the fusion of elemental magic with darkness element. And they call it God Slayer magic, HMPF, the nerve of these mortals. Well, other than that we have Light Guild. Fairy Tale is supposedly the strongest light guild of this continent. There are also these shady dark guilds, and apparently the maggots that killed the kids' parents were supposed to the strongest dark guild of this country and as well of the continent. This country has the highest number of mages compared to anywhere else in the world despite being a very small country. Magic Council rules over the magical world of this continent. There are 7 continents with their own magic councils. Kid's parents were given the title of 10 Saint Wizards. Supposedly those two were in the top 10 mages they have on this continent. No wonder they were powerful enough to even impress me. And no wonder this kid has so much potential. The kid might even become the most powerful mage since that shady Zareth guy. And from what I have seen, he has more potential than even my most trusted titans had. Wait a minute, I am getting weaker and weaker as we speak. Zeus has waited all this time, so 1 or 2 centuries won't be a problem for him. I can do nothing to stop Zeus after that, so in order to ensure Zeus' destruction and survival of the human race, I need an heir. Kratos' eyes widened a little as he realized that he had the best choice sleeping in front of him, literally. He wouldn't ever touch another woman even if the human race were to extinct, so yes, Naruto was his best bet. Kratos knew that Naruto was special and he was partially responsible for what might become of the human race in the near future, and it would be an honor for anyone to learn the magic of the god of war. But still, I promised the woman to deliver her child to this fairy tale guild, and they might even come looking for the kid too. Kratos was musing over whether to take the kid, aka Naruto Namikaze, under tutelage, and Naruto being a helpless baby also complicate things. He walked up to sleeping Naruto and picked him up. Get up, kid. I don't have time for you to take your beauty sleep. What was I thinking? I need to get rid of this little creature as soon as possible. Kratos muttered in irritation as he held baby Naruto high above his head and stared at his weeping face. Though it seemed like baby Naruto got offended by his words and decided to punish him. Kratos stared at Naruto's puffed up cheeks, teary eyes and irritated pout with a bored expression on his face, as if he was challenging baby Naruto to do his worst. Which Naruto did as he began to urinate, and unfortunately Naruto's little gun was pointing straight at the bald head of Kratos. To say the least, Kratos wasn't amused as urine dripped down from his head to face and below. But Kratos didn't move as he was too stunned to move a single muscle. In all the existence, no one has done what this mere recently born child just did. He had left the might Kratos dumbfounded with his unpredictable attack. Suddenly, Kratos began to laugh, and his laugh kept getting louder, but instead of being afraid, baby Naruto began to giggle with him, though he slowly drifted into a slumber due to exhaustion. Yes, you will do it. If you can leave me gaping like a fish at the mere age of, well, few hours and some minutes, then in few centuries you can definitely pound that bastard Zeus back and forth without even trying, Kratos stated, though he might have over-exaggerated with his last statement. From this day onward you are my heir. The God Slayer of Kratos. Yes, you are the God Slayer of God of War. Kratos declared to the world as he held sleeping baby Naruto high in the air. The end. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Remember to subscribe and like this video. See you in the next video.